Yay!
You guys all match. Wow.
Thank you
Wow.
for sending it over. So,
They look really good. Hi, Lenora. How are you?
Hey, I'm fine. How are you all?
Good. Are you 9:30 over there or 8:30?
Yes, I am. It is
9:30.
Oh my God.
Wonderful.
well past my bedtime.
That's nice. That's
And getting back at me, I'm like, oh, it's not 5:30 in the morning. I'm all up. So now I feel like
Yeah, because it's dark, you can see over
Yeah.
there. So thanks for joining us. That's awesome. That's great. You got your T-shirt. Looks good on you.
thank you. I love it. It's my first
lovely,
thing.
isn't it? Yeah.
Break it in with the party. So.
Yeah. And you too, Sundar. Did you just put it on for today too?
yeah.
Yeah, because you completely ruined your other one. Does it come out the Holly one with?
Oh,
the,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing pictures.
This is the second time. I mean, most of the time I'm wearing the challenge t-shirts by default anyway. So whenever I'm walking, I have like many of those same blue shirts. So last year you gave me the green one, the greenish ones, right?
Oh, right. That was, yeah.
This one, I mean, but the blue works well for the color contrast when you go play Holi. So
Yes.
Does it wash out?
yeah, it washes out.
Okay. Okay.
It's biodegradable. It washes out. So I just washed that out, and we will wear this for next year.
You're a walking advertisement for us, Sundar. I love it. You always have a BYSJ t-shirt on, which is great.
It's so comfortable, actually, this shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
This
is.
one's a good one.
Lovely,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Nice and
Really
soft.
good fabric. And
Yeah.
we stuck to the same maker for the last.
Yes. Yes. It's funny that you say that. We were just having a conversation about the t-shirts. They're a little bit more money, but they're worth it because they're so
It's really
comfortable.
good.
Huh? Yeah.
They're very nice.
It's really good.
Yeah. 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 Awesome. Let's see. We've got Carrie coming in, Michael. I thought I saw Shirley.
Shirley's
Shirley,
there. She just turned her video off.
Okay.
Hey, Carrie.
Hi,
It's in the top of your
Carrie.
head.
Yeah. We can see your bonnet.
Ah,
There you go.
there is a chin. I knew there was a chin on that face.
You're on mute.
There we go.
Yay.
You'd think all the time of doing it, I would have, no,
Yeah.
it wasn't. Yeah.
It's all
There we go.
good. It's all good. I think I'll rename mine too.
There's a cat.
No, dog.
Oh,
Dog.
it's okay.
Hello.
Say hi. Say hi. I know. Yes, he's not real good in the
Sorry.
yoga room, so we're going to see how long this lasts. But,
Okay, what's his name?
Bosco,
Bosco.
Bosco.
Oscar, what a great name.
thank you.
It wouldn't be a proper COVID challenge party without a lot of pets.
No.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
I brought him. It's like I'm always commenting on everybody's pets. I thought, you know what? It's time I brought
know.
mine.
I know. Hey,
Hey,
Tim.
Ting.
Hi,
Bring your
Eting. Hi,
Bring your
Lori.
kitty in.
Hi.
Lori, bring Maverick in. We should get, I mean, all the
I know.
all the
I
animals
should have
used to
brought
see.
Jack to the studio. That would have been
Oh, yeah,
fun.
you're in the video, of course, yeah. Hey, Ting, is the cat coming? The cat needs to come. We're showing
Yeah.
some.
Where's,
your cat,
where's
Eting.
Junior?
Come say hi.
Shirley, you got your shirt on. Looks good. Woohoo!
Hey, Maverick. Hello.
Maverick.
There's Maverick.
Oh,
Hey, Maverick. Bosco,
He
Bosco,
had a
come see
vintage
Maverick.
cat, hasn't he? He was in every
Come here. Go
class.
see Maverick. There's Maverick. There's Maverick. Don't step on it.
He is such a love. What a good dog. Oh, look at Bosco too.
He's still.
Where's Mia, Michael?
Hey,
We're
Roger.
trying to get her. into
Hi,
the picture.
Roger.
She keeps running away. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what pets do. Oh, hi there.
Oh well. Here she goes. Hi,
Hello,
Mia.
Mia.
Oh, yeah.
There's Mia.
Hi, Raj.
Hey, Raj.
Hey, Raj.
Hi, Raj.
Good to see you again.
Hey, Raj.
That pretty background.
Oh.
Is that real?
No, it's a
No.
picture.
Okay. It's gorgeous. No.
Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you too, Raj. Does it feel good to be back in the hot room?
Yeah, and Matt had a very good class, Matt.
Awesome. Did you did you do the challenge, Raj?
Yes.
Oh
I got
my
this shirt.
gosh.
Mhm.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, you just didn't have your camera on. I remember seeing your name.
Yeah. Mhm.
Boy, that's great. That's great.
Hey, Abby.
Hey, Abby.
May.
Hey, May.
Hi, May.
Vivian.
Hi, Michelle.
Avi's
Hi,
got out
Vivian.
there.
Hi.
Good to see you, May.
Good to see you too.
I like the shirts. Those are nice.
Vivian's got her shirt on. Woo!
Yep, we got all our
Avi's
shirt
got-
on.
Yep. I would have mine on, you guys. I apologize. Mine didn't come yet.
Uh-oh.
So I'm wearing the next best thing, which is the heart.
That's
Gotta love
good.
this too. Yeah. Yeah, still good.
Oh,
Awesome.
It fits well as well.
Looks good on you, Avi.
It does, absolutely.
You know, it really is a good t-shirt. I love the design. That's Michael's design, you guys. Thank you, Michael. Really good design.
It's,
nice.
you know, it's one of those designs that just captures the moment, you know, and just has this like breakout success associated with it. It's wonderful.
I know. Hi, Tony. Hi, Mershida.
Oh, there's Marshita. Hey, Marshita.
Hi. Hi.
Rashida.
Oh, I have that t-shirt.
I know you got
Hey,
the shirt.
Tony.
Everybody's showing off the shirt now. It's good.
I survived. Yes, yes. Well, it's 6:35. What do you guys think? Should we start? You know, we've been doing the 60-day challenge since 2003. It's 60 days of yoga, and it wasn't something BYSJ created. It was popular amongst Bikram yoga studios with this idea that it helped to build a regular practice. So we did it in the beginning, always in January, because that, you know, took advantage of the energy of a New Year's resolution. And from the beginning, so many people did it. I mean, I think at one point, one year, we might have had close to 200 people signed up for it. So, and then we started to do it twice a year because there were many that weren't able to do it, like in the, you know, January timeframe, especially if people were traveling a lot or still, you know, on holiday. So that's a lot of 60-day challenge events. But what ensued is these events where we get to recognize the accomplishment of doing 60 days in a row, which in my mind, and I think those of you that have attended the parties can say and agree with me that it's just amazing, the testimonials and the stories that you hear that are just genuine and from the heart, that have this sense of inspiration that just validates and encourages you to stay with your practice. It's just, and it's done in such this organic way where there's nothing scripted, there's no agenda. We just talk about what the yoga has done for us. So this event, I mean, we didn't even have a yoga studio to go to. So 60-day challenge during a pandemic that was unprecedented. Trying also to create, you know, a home practice. It wasn't like you know, had a, you know, a list of instructions on how to do a home practice. You're creating that for yourself too, right? And you still committed to 60 consecutive days. That's pretty incredible. And then a big bonus is because of the Zoom and online is we got to meet people that aren't even in our immediate area, like Lenora, right? And like, you know, Neil, and just a lot of you like Raj and a lot of you that we hadn't seen, and Avi just coming into the practice. So, you know, our community, you know, has grown in such, you know, amazing and loving ways. So congratulations, all of you. So the way that this goes is I'm going to hand it over to Sundar, and Sundar Usually, you guys, we have the event in the studio and we hand you your t-shirts. That's sort of like your recognition for doing 60 consecutive days. But in return, you give your we used to call it acceptance speeches, because back in the day we'd give you a trophy. We would give you a little Oscar that, you know, was your Oscar night. You could take your picture and then you'd say your acceptance speech. But what it's turned out now is just sharing your story. So Sundar, I'm going to hand it over to you if you'd like to start and share what this challenge has given you.
Yeah, I think this challenge has been, like Michelle said, way different from anything else. This is the 10th challenge for me, and I finished 10 years on March 11th. So, and I never thought when I started this, I'd stick to it on day one, but by day 10, I knew I was going to do this as long as I'm alive. So, and I just went back to a blog post that I wrote, the first blog post I ever wrote after I started doing Bikram Yoga. That was on day 26. And I was so grateful for this because I saw so many changes in 26 days. And I'd come 25 out of the 26 days in the first 26 days. And I said, I have only one thing to say. And that is, if I ever meet Bikram, I should say thank you for creating this, and to BYSJ for doing this strictly the way it's supposed to be done. And that still holds true 10 years later. But I'm a very social person. So the 60-day challenge is always a place where I count a lot on the encouragement we get from our fellow students before and after class. And whether it's someone reminding you to drink that emergency packet, or to, you know, make sure that we used to sync up times with people to say, I'm going to show up at 4:30, are you, kind of thing. And it's the usual gang, but this time, none of that. You're alone in your room with a heater that's as old as your daughter. And sometimes, you know, it conks out on you in the middle of class and makes a noise. It's interesting. You guys all got used to this yellow wall. It's pretty much where I'm like, I'm literally sitting in lotus pose right here. And this is pretty much it. I mean, I work from this place. I do yoga from this place.
Wow.
It's a corner of the house where I'm pretty much technically I'm in solitary confinement since COVID, pretty much. That's one way to put it. And the yoga is the only thing that's kept me sane, because I don't see nobody comes. I mean, every now and then my daughter or wife will interrupt me, but otherwise I'm pretty much cooped up here like 11 hours a day. So you guys have been my, BYSJ was always home away from home, COVID or otherwise. And even during Zoom, I got to meet all these wonderful people and still share stories. I'm just grateful. I think the one thing that I want to say is that we should be grateful to have a group like this. And we have BYSJ and the teachers who do an outstanding job. I think I got more corrections on Zoom than I got in class in the last 1 year. I think you guys get to see some of my faults up close and personal. So, and some of my poses really got better. And I'm not kidding. I mean, the thing is that we still learn new things every day. Yesterday, I was in Sarah's class in the studio and my elbows touched the floor for the first time in the final stretching pose. And I came out of class and I told Sarah, I hope you remember what you told me, because I don't. But you said something, I did something, but it worked, but I don't know what it is. And then we discussed it after class. So it's a constant journey. It's a constant learning. And as long as we keep showing up, we learn, we do things, we improve. So
yeah,
stick to it. I feel that I'm just beginning this thing. I've just scratched the surface, and I've been it in all sincerity. And I'm not saying this because otherwise I'll feel bad that I've done it 2,000 times and I'm finding out new things every day. And that part just hits you every now and then. But it is slow, because you guys say the same things in class all the time. But you have to sometimes be in zombie mode to really react to it the way you do, because you know what you're doing and you know what muscles you're using. I don't know what muscles you're using. I'm not you. So for that to get translated from your brain to my body is a slow process. And I think 10 years is still a little too early. So yeah, I think you guys are making us all into Yodas. So thank you.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head too, though, Sundar. Congratulations, first of all, and I put that down. I mean, how many of us are extroverted and social? All of us are social beings, and some of us maybe a little bit more than others. So, way to show up and use this to help you through that, just that part of it, Sundar. But one of the things too that you said, I think all of us, because we're in such a different environment, you know, our eyes now are in just a whole nother realm. So when you say that, you know, you feel like it's brand new again, I think it has to do with the fact that you had a year where you weren't in your usual surroundings and you had to see with different eyes, being in a different surroundings. Now you get to take that new layer of seeing into, you know, the practice again in the studio, right? So,
Yep.
that's awesome. Yeah, congrats.
And I'm happy that the studio is open again. So I just wanted to say.
Yeah. Thank you,
you,
Sundar. Neil, do you want to share?
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Neil. Can he hear? Neil?
Neil, you need to unmute.
Sorry. I was thinking maybe I'll wait until the end because other people have done 60-day challenge and technically I haven't really done it.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. 100%. I appreciate that. Okay, let's go right to Lenora, because Lenora, it's almost 10 o'clock for her and she's here in the house. Woo-hoo-hoo.
I'm still awake. It's a miracle. No, well, this is my first 60-day challenge. I've been practicing for 10 or 11 years.
Wow.
I literally started 3 months before my dad died suddenly. And my Bikram friends, one of whom is Carla, who joins us every once in a while, she's my closest, really got me through that time. And I would say that this 60-day challenge had me texting her regularly saying, I know I've been doing this for 11 years, but I feel like I've never done it before. Like, what have we been doing for 11 years? I, like you, Sundar, got more corrections on Zoom than I think I ever have. I finally learned how to do Cobra after 11 years. So, you know, who knows what I was doing all that other time. And it is kind of a glorious pose. Never really thought I would say that, certainly about bow pose, because I hated that pose. I don't hate it now, but it's more glorious than it was. Let's put it that way.
Progress.
Yes, progress. But you know, it was great to have the Zoom. I mean, I was trying to be really diligent and do the tapes, and you know, like I think a number of us have said before class, it's like, oh, you get kind of lazy, you kind of know when you're going to be going out of the pose, and it was so great to finally have an online experience, but also to make new friends, quite frankly, and to look forward to seeing people and chatting. And just hearing how everybody else was doing. Because I mean, I wasn't looking at my screen, but I could hear, oh, so-and-so did something differently today. And that was just, you got very excited by that. And of course, you just continued to work really hard. It really was a great, it was a great gift. And I was really also happy that my work colleagues let me not schedule meetings at that time.
Right.
And early and end early so that I could do this. It really meant a lot. It helped me get through and power through. So it was really just a total gift. I have no real words other than it's really been a complete gift. And I know I do things better. I know I'm stronger. I know that. I know my hips are realigned because for the first time, my toes and heels have always touched, but now my legs actually touch, which is strange. And as much as you access one thing, then you lose access to another. So that is something that you find your brain kind of trying to reconcile. But it, like Sundar said, it's a journey, and I think probably that's the greatest lesson that I learned in these 60 days is how much of a journey it truly is. It's always given me great friends and great love, but it really is a journey. So thank you.
Are you continuing, Lenora? Are you doing it every day still?
I have not been able to do it every day. It's usually been, I used to, before the pandemic, I did 6 days a week.
Okay.
I did 5 days a week generally. And so it's still about 5 or 6. There have been some crises I've had to deal with and vaccines I've had to get. So, but generally we're doing about 5 or 6 days a week.
That's great. Are you back in the studio? Are you back in the studio?
No.
No. Okay.
I'm still doing it at home, and I don't think we'll be back for a while. Where I don't think we'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're doing the live stream. Yep. Too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, we get Carrie up close and personal, and so that's great. And that it really is great to kind of go back to the Zoom classes.
Yes, right. I know. I think all of us teachers have enjoyed it too, because for some reason, maybe because we're in your homes, we're able to sort of have permission to say more, or obviously we can see you better too in a lot of ways too. But who would have thought? Who would have thought?
I have no idea if you guys are looking at us on a huge,
big,
here in Cleveland, but we have a humongotron in our basketball stadium. That is what it is called. And I don't know if you're looking at us on that, but the day, I don't know if it was May or Ashley who said, "Your finger is sticking out, Lenora, in Cobra pose. Put it together." And I was like, oh my gosh, you can see my finger on the floor. And that was when I was like, oh no, Carla, you have to
do. Like we have little droids like coming into your into your beautiful surrounding. Yeah. And those cameras are pretty good, even on the iPhones, right? Those are good. Well, congrats on your first challenge, Lenora. And it sounds like a lot happened in 60 days, like a lot, which is like amazing, right? Just keep that trajectory going. And I beg you and plead that you stay with us in our community. We just adore you, Lenora.
I adore you guys, and when the world is in a better place, I look forward to heading out that way.
Woohoo! Yes, that'll be awesome. Thank you for sharing. How about you, Raj?
I hope you can hear me.
Words? Yeah, we can hear you. Good.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, so I was already doing about 3 to 4 days a week from home, and I was hit with a medical issue on my cervical stenosis at the back of the neck. Mm-hmm. And then studio opened in October, and I did practice there for briefly. Mentioned that to Matt as well and Sarah. So I took it up on me more of, I wasn't wanting to wait for 60 days to start on January 1st. And I kind of started on my own. It wasn't every day, but it was most day at home before January 1st. And I just copied what Matt has in terms of 2 heaters and 2 humidifiers, exactly what he has.
Smart man.
Yeah. And I did several other things, and I was slated for, surgery, injections, and all that. It was pretty serious. Yeah, that's the one. And I'm pleased to say that even before hitting January 1st, they canceled all my appointments, and I didn't need to do anything clinical. So that was really a reinforcement of this thing works if you take it seriously. And I did other things, like combine it with acupuncture and a few other things and so on. So January 1st comes, and I was ready for the 60 days. And there's one thing I got to tell you, Michelle, and I've mentioned that before in my prior 60 days is, the quality of the teachers. And that's for me is number one, and you've kept it there. So I see here Matt, Sarah, Jessica, Rashida, May, I think you started only about a year or so. Yuting is there. Claire, I took her class. Because we didn't really get the whole package in the 60 days. We didn't get to go to the studio. We didn't get support from each other, physically hug. But if your quality of teachers is not there, then we don't get even that.
Yeah.
But so I wanted to appreciate that again, especially in these times. There are many, many other options on Zoom, free YouTube, and so on. This was really, really good. I totally enjoyed it. As far as temperature and humidity, I kept check with Matt. I think I reached up to 100 degrees, and humidity I could go all the way up because my body can take it. So I went up to 70, 75% humidity.
Wow.
Because of 2 humidifiers, I like it. A new thing I did was I was able to do the standing head to knee, not all the way, but I could stretch my leg, both the legs. So that was new. I enjoyed it.
That's big.
And then I am back to the studio. I took Sarah's class, and then I took Matt's this morning. It's really great to be back. So thanks for reopening.
Thank you, Raj. And thank you for saying that about the teachers. And there are a lot of teachers here online. And, you know, all of us have just loved this yoga and believe in it and have stayed committed to it in such a consistent way. And I'm grateful too. And I'm so grateful that, you know, you feel that also, right? That it works, right? Just teaching it the right way.
Yeah, and they're not just saying dialogue, they're really committed to this, and I've seen it over the years, and that's where I congratulate you to keep this going at a very high quality level.
You know, one of the things, Raj, too, and all of you, right? I mean, and all the teachers can nod to, every single one of us, and students and teachers, we have a regular practice. You know, we don't have teachers that don't practice as, you know, a lot. Right. So all of us are, and it wouldn't work, right? I don't think you could be as a passionate of a teacher, quality of a teacher, if you don't have that same passion for wanting to take the practice too. So that's been a blessing at BYSJ. Our teachers have, you know, a regular practice. I don't think ever, Jessica, we've had to have a teacher, you know, talk to them about taking class more. So but yeah, and I think it's contagious, you know, too. It's you know, if we're all practicing, we're all practicing, and then we all want to practice more, and we want to see each other and want to see each other again, we want to practice more. And it even became infectious over Zoom, which is great. I'm so pleased at how many people wanted to still do a 60-day challenge. Raj, how long have you been a member?
I lost count, maybe 2012.
So right when we opened the second studio.
Second studio,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for your commitment and devotion and your story. I'm so glad you're feeling better. I like what you said, when we take it seriously, right? It works. You know, we commit and take it seriously. Yeah. Okay. How about you, Roger? Did you do 60 days?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Did you get your t-shirt?
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. I have to work on that. But yeah, I've been, I really appreciate having this stability during this time, because I think for the most part, I like to make things like overly complicated for myself, and a lot of times that causes me to not, approach something in the most efficient manner. And even though I was practicing a lot before this entire COVID, I think a lot of the stuff that was in my head was kind of like what it was kind of like automatic. I was in zombie mode, so I was like benefiting the benefits. I was doing everything correct. I mean, like I was feeling the workout in zombie mode, and then I was doing all these fancy things during COVID to try to mimic that. And then I think I was just kind of in my head. I was believing that, all this extra work was helping. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But what I really appreciate about the practice is that it really gives a foundation so I can experiment with my crazy life. Even during COVID, I've had a lot of, extra time. I would say meditation is probably the most healthy thing you can do if you have a lot of free time. And so I like, so I think just having this practice allows me to actually test my, I like to drink a lot of coffee. Other things also, which are really relevant with the vaccinations and things like that. I really know, I kind of I can decipher through, what's in the news, what's not, just from having this foundation. So it kind of, I really appreciate all of this, all the work that the teachers go through to put up with me in class. Yeah.
Roger, I feel like, just having known you for a while now, and all of us too, you're definitely so committed to this practice, and we've always known you've been so drawn to it. And that's so inspiring. But you can tell that it grounds you, right? It enables you, like you said, gives you that sense of stability so that you can go off and do these other things too that you're doing, right? And I think that's a gift in the fact that it's the same thing every time, right? It does give you a very rooted foundation, right, too, so that we're not scattered. I think in COVID, that was extremely important, right? For us to have something we could turn to that was the same every time and kind of root ourselves there, so that even the chaos, whether we create it or not, doesn't affect us so much. So congrats, Roger. Like in the front row, your postures are looking good.
Yeah, that's the least I can do with all the good instruction.
And I think for all of us, right, too, you guys, I think over time as we practice, whether it's 60 days, 6 months, 6 years, we become better listeners. Our attention span grows. Whether we have a good attention span or not, it still gets better. And that's a key to a good life, really, is the ability to be able to listen. So it's nice to watch you grow, Roger, and who you are. So thank you for sharing, and congratulations in being here.
Thank you, everyone.
Let's go to Vivian Poon. Woohoo! Vivian in the house.
Hey everyone. I just want to say I really appreciate this opportunity. I actually has been out of town for the last 6 months, and I got stuck in Nashville, was unable to come into the studio. And I came back January 5th, I found this Zoom class. I signed up right away, and I've been doing it since, right? To me, 60 days or not, I really don't care. I'm just continue to doing what I can. I really, really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, thank you for offering it on time. For us, can be in the studio, cannot be in the studio, and I won't miss the class. Yeah. And another thing is that I want to say is that the Zoom class is actually, for me, it's more focused and intense than going to the studio. So I go into autopilot when I go in there, right? But for now, I can't. I know the instructor's watching you. Very, very little things. I have so much corrections for the last 15 years. So yeah, I'm just really nervous actually every single day I go to class. I know that you're watching me. Like today, Michelle corrected me so many things. I think, geez, I sometimes want to turn off the so you can't even see me. I can kind of take a break or something. Anyway, I just really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
I think there was one moment too, Vivian, today. I said, Vivian, my gosh, I'm saying your name so much because, Melissa too, right? Your camera is perfect. The way your point of view, I can see your balancing stick really good. I can see I can see you go sideways.
It really makes ourselves to be on our toes.
Yeah,
usually in the studio or if there's no camera, and I would not pay so much attention. Every single teacher here, and I really appreciate it. Jessica, Clara, Matt, and Sarah, and everybody, right? You all have something to say about my posture. That's something that I have never noticed in the past. So thank you.
You're welcome. Congratulations. Vivian, have you been a member since 2003? Has it been?
No, I started 2006.
6.
Yeah, but that's long enough.
Yeah, but you know, you don't age. And, you know, in my estimation, your youthfulness and vitality is off the charts.
I just need
very
to
bubbly.
If I can maintain what I did 10 years ago, I'm very happy. A lot of stuff I still cannot do. And I know that I probably won't be able to do for the rest of my life, but it's okay. You know, as long as I do this every day, I'm trying. I think that's okay for me. I'd never be able to can do head to knee, you know, whatever. Still cannot, you know.
Never say never. You get better with age. And in my estimation, your knee looks locked now, girlfriend.
I've been trying for the last 15 years, so I'm still trying.
Well, what did Sundar just say? 10 years, and he just feels like he's just learning now. So, right, you know, time is, you know, an illusion in many ways, right? So that's awesome, Vivian. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So nice to have you. Yeah. Okay, let's go to a teacher. How about Claire? Woohoo!
Thanks, Michelle. Oh gosh, it's so good to be at this party to celebrate with everybody.
My water.
So I've done several challenges at BYSJ. I was away for 6 years from BYSJ, traveling around the world, and when I came back, I immediately I came back January 3rd last year, and I was in the 60-day challenge January 4th. I'm sorry we didn't get to have the July challenge, but I'm so thrilled that we got to do this one by Zoom. Yeah. And I was talking with Carrie the other day, and we were talking about how the home practice is so different because we don't have the heat. So for me, I can go deeper in the postures, but what Carrie told me is she's back in the room a couple of times and she's maintaining what she learned what she grew in at home. So I'm so looking I can't wait to come back to the heat, because I was telling her that when I come out, I feel so refreshed, everything, I feel brand new again.
Yeah.
After a hot yoga class, and
right.
I don't have that, but I know I'm keeping my body in tone.
Yes.
So, and it's just been really great, to see so many of the people that I knew before I went away, and meeting new people since I've been back. And I'm just loving being part of BYSJ. So thank you.
Yeah, you guys, Claire, when did you start? What year did you start with BYSJ?
I started in January, and I was there just in time for your first year anniversary. So less than a year after you opened.
And do you remember, didn't you make me some big, beautiful card too? Was that after your first challenge? I think was that after your first anniversary? I should look for that. You were so moved by what the yoga was doing, right?
I think I wrote a poem to you as well.
Yeah. It was so sweet.
It's the one, I did other kinds of yoga before and I never stuck with it. But Bikram yoga, it's the one thing that I've been interested and happy to do consistently in my whole life.
Yeah.
Like Lauren, bicycles, I've never had anything that I love so much. Maybe a little bit of dancing, but I didn't keep that up.
Yeah.
So yoga has been a part of my life for.
Yeah. And then I remember your husband came to the 60-day challenge party in the front row. In no way, shape, or form was he going to do the yoga. And then he wound up doing the yoga, right, for a few years.
I bought him a 10 for 10. I knew he wouldn't $10 go to waste. Way back when it was 10 for 10.
That was 10 for 10. That's right. Wow. That's a long time ago, right? And then Claire, you became a marriage family counselor, right? And then
I came to your studio when I was interning, and a classmate of mine had been doing the yoga, and she said, I can't go hiking with you anymore. I have to go do Bikram yoga. And I'm like, what is Bikram yoga? And then I was like, okay, I won't go hiking either.
best words that your friend said to you, right? Got you interested and hooked on it then. And then she decided to become a teacher. So it's really awesome. And I'm so glad. I know you traveled all over the world, and I was so happy to see you back, and you're such a big part of the community again, Claire. So great. So
thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, you're going to be not able to wear your fun socks anymore once you come back into the yoga room, right?
Right. I won't need them.
You won't need them, so enjoy them. Enjoy them now.
Thanks.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Avi. Woohoo! Congratulations, Avi.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. So I probably is the newest member. I'm not sure. I started, I want to say 5-6 months back, on and off. I've been injury prone last year or two. I have inflammation of spine. I have super tight muscles. Matt, Shara, Michelle, you guys have been helpful. I've had numerous discussions with you guys. I struggle quite a bit. One thing I have been consistent is I want to probably 4.5 months now. Today was the first day I took a break. Not by choice, just some pain I'm working through, and there were only 2 classes, so I just couldn't make it. But it's been the consistency that has helped me, and I see the results. It's more about my mental state. I wouldn't say I'm good at any of the postures. I'm better at most of them now from what I was. I'm thankful most of the teachers are fellow students every now and then on different classes. So I actually watch the teachers do the poses and see where I'm going wrong, where I may not be doing the right way, and the words keep on resonating when let's say I'm doing Matt's or Sarah's classes. Every time I hear those words, it's helping me improve my posture, right? And that has been the key for me. And I'm finding new places where I have tightness and I'm going beyond, but the consistency has helped me so much that I've had a lot of pain-less days now. I still see a doctor on and off, but I think this has been the key. So, 90 days, I went beyond, I kept on going, and I will keep on continuing. I was on month to month, and now I have signed up for the whole year thing. And my hope is I could do justice to that, and the Zoom has been a boon, obviously. I don't know whether I can come to the studio every day the way I'm doing now, but the live streaming classes, and thanks, Matt, for calling me out on streaming as well. I did not get sloppy. I've been consistent, and I do call in my family to just make sure, hey, am I doing it right? Am I bending back? And kind of finding more corrections above and beyond what you guys have been. So, a big privilege. Thanks a lot for all the teachers here. It's been really good journey for me.
Wow, Avi. Avi, you're such a testimony to, I'll always remember you because you started really during COVID, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. What introduced you to Bikram Yoga and BYSJ? How did that even?
I actually, I don't know if some of you remember, I've done a 1 month Groupon thing. I came down to the studio. I could not actually finish the 90 minutes for a couple of days. And then finally I got through that and then again dropped it off, right? I think what Claire said wasn't the consistency there. I could not make that time to go in there, and it just might be my shortcoming that I could not commit to it. And then when COVID started, and actually it's been 2 years, my father passed away, and this, I think that whole stress and the pain that I have, it just became unbearable, right? I do a lot of outdoor activity, a lot of hiking, I do a lot of gardening and stuff, but there was something missing, and I was trying to find that. I think it's more of the mental focus than physical. So I knew what Bikram has been. I had done that 1 month thing, and it said, when I saw the Zoom thing is, I figured that might be my outlet to kind of put in those efforts. And it's sort of easier because I'm working from home. I have that flexibility with my work schedule where I could pick up any hour that I have an opening for. and go with it, right? And I couldn't still do 90 minutes. I don't have heat, the way Raj said. There's no humidity. It's probably 60 degrees here, and I wasn't sure how I can get through. But now, as I wrote in that blog, 90 minutes, and I'm still wanting more, right? So I have improved that. I was privileged to have that first indoor class the other day, and I was dreading that. I told Matt I will show up, and I'm not sure whether I can get through it. And I surprised myself as I did all the postures, like first time in the studio after this long, and I could get through all of them. Head to knee, still a big challenge. I keep on watching Sundar and other guys do it, and I'm zapped, but I don't know whether I'll get there ever. But I'm going to keep on trying, right? And that's essentially what it is.
Yes, we always say never give up, right? It's the trying, right? That gives it. Avi, that's incredible. Did you find after your first few Zoom classes that this was something that was giving you relief already?
Yes, it is, right? I think the words help me, and there are certain postures I may not be doing the right way, and that's why whenever I'm having this online classes, I'm finding those angles on the mat. That way, you guys can watch me differently, right? And I think I've requested Matt sometimes that maybe this posture, if you could help me. And when I was in the studio, we spent extra 2 hours, and both of them helped me a lot with those, right? There could be some subtle things that I might be not doing it right, and that might be impacting the pain. But I think I have found that niche where some of the postures I do really well now, right? And that's been the key. Some of them, the doctors still recommend go slow. So head to knee is one of those where they are not sure whether I can even get there. But I'm encouraged when Matt told me I've come a long way in the last 4 months, and I cannot sense it myself, but possibly it has, right, improved. So there's definitely continuous improvement that I see and you guys see.
Yes.
And that's a privilege, right? I've known you guys now. It's a family that I always look forward to. And I think with the new setup that we have, even the streaming classes would be helpful and beneficial. So I'm hoping we never stop this. It's for the future, right? So we might come to studio a few days a week, but I would still love to continue this practice on Zoom and streaming, whichever works.
Well, I'm feeling your passion and your story, and I'm quite moved by you, Avi, as I think all of us are. The fact that you started it during COVID, having just a little bit prior to, and the pain that you've had, mental pain also. And this is something now, it seems to me, you've got your shirt on, you're so proud, and you're talking about your postures and wanting to improve. This will be with you for the rest of your life. Yes?
Yes, absolutely.
That's the point. That's the point. It's the point of the 60-day challenge, and why we stay with what we do the way we do it is because that you're the perfect example, Avi. And you're our poster child, really. Because no, seriously, never too old, never too late to start from scratch again, and to have a life you're intended to have, more so than what you even could imagine. So I'm grateful to you. You're helping us at the studio. I know, Matt is so grateful. Thank you immensely. And stay with it. Just
thank you. Thank you so much.
Let me just say one thing, Michelle. I think, Avi, you're very humble about your postures, and they have come on tremendously. But you have a particular ingredient that makes all the difference in how you approach these postures, which is that you go slowly and you focus on the detail of what you're trying to do. So rather than just push, trying to get somewhere, you're just looking at each step, and you're taking each step. And some days your body lets you go further, some days your body doesn't let you go further, and you're not put off by that. You just pay attention. You ask questions. You're always curious about, am I doing this right? Is my knee in the right place? Is my ankle in the right place, etc. And it's that's the beautiful thing about this practice, that it absolutely doesn't matter where you're starting from on any given day. If you bring your attention to the precision of what you're doing, it will serve you well. And it doesn't matter if you're a beginner and your understanding of precision is limited, and over time your understanding of precision develops. That too is just fine. So yeah, you've come so far, and it's just a blessing to teach you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, that's 100%. Just not getting stuck on the shoulds, just being open to each step of the way. You know, it's a lifestyle. I mean, this is something that is therapeutic that we do every day to harness, you know, more of who we are. So just the fact that you go step by step will help you translate into going step by step in your world, no matter what you're doing. That's great. All right, let's go to Lori. Congratulations, Lori Alessio. Woo! And Maverick. And Chris, your buddy.
Yeah.
In this too, yeah.
Wow. My first challenge.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I never did a challenge. Really don't have a reason why I never did one before. I don't know. And then this one came up and I'm like, oh, well, I want to print out that cute little calendar and I want to go get some stars. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to do the challenge. Yeah. And I wasn't really sure how I would be. Probably like the first couple weeks, I'm like, oh, I hope I can get through this. But then by like the third week, the fourth week, I was like, oh, I'm cruising. I've got this. I loved it. I loved it. And I love yoga, I think even more now than I did before. And grateful, oh, so grateful for you and Matt and Sarah and Claire and all the teachers. Just love you so much. You're all amazing. I mean, you're such a huge blessing to so many of us. Don't know what I would ever do without any of you. You're like my other family. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, we love you too, Lori. Lori moved here from Monterey, you guys, and had a good practice down there for a bit, right?
I did. Yeah, yeah, I did.
Came into the studio wanting to know if this could be really a home studio for her. And I said, well, wait till you meet everybody. Sure. Lori does all of our flowers and our plants and our beautiful living wall with the fountain and all of that, you guys, in the studio.
And so grateful to have had that opportunity.
Yes.
I was like plants and yoga and oh my gosh.
Like, what more is there, right?
What more is there? I mean, right. But I found myself too at pretty much at the end of the challenge. I found myself finding a place in me with a lot more trust with myself.
Nice.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was because of hearing so many of the great corrections from every teacher in my own home. You know, I don't know. It's like, you know, go towards the fireplace. Lean. Oh yeah, I know where that is. You know, and I don't know. I just found a lot more trust in myself by the end of the challenge, and wow. I hold that with me. Yeah, from the challenge. Yeah.
Well, congrats. That's awesome. I mean, it could be just indicative of you doing it 60 days in a row for the first time, you know, whether you are in the studio or at home, just that consistency gave you that. Yeah.
And the Zoom connection, for me, I loved the energy. I loved the connections with everyone and teachers that I didn't have before. You know, and I was just so grateful every day. And I still continue to be. I don't know what I would do just without any of you. I love you all so much. Yeah.
It's awesome, Lori. Yeah. We feel it. We feel it. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And you're a great example too of someone who comes into the studio, but also does it on Zoom. Right. You know, you have a mix now, you know, that you do.
Yeah.
Which is great. You know, it's another COVID blessing that if we can't get into the studio, we can do it on Zoom, or you choose, you know, today I'm going to have a Zoom teacher and they're going to, you know, talk to me through the camera or, you know, be on live stream. So.
It really is. It really is such a COVID blessing. And, you know, Michelle, you had described the challenge as going to yoga camp every day. And that was so much what I felt like, okay, getting up, rolling out of bed,
Yeah.
up my mat, rolling it out. And, there were all the other yogis, and it was
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Together at camp, every day. And I was like, that is so much what it felt like. And then you get to, you have friends that you get to know a little better, and then you make new friends. And it was just, I was like, I love yoga camp. Love it.
Oh my God. Michael, are you listening? This is a t-shirt for future. How's that? Jessica's like, no. But it is.
Perfect for summer challenge.
It is. Yes. It's true, right? I remember when I was at camp as a kid. Exactly. That's what it feels like, right?
Yeah. So it was.
What a joy! What a joy!
Great.
Just a question, Lori. Any particular? Because you've been practicing for a while now. Any posture, that's shifted a lot for you?
Mm-hmm. I feel like floor. What's the one where you pull you roll forward like a wheel, and your hands are on your ankles.
Floor bow?
Yes.
That one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I felt like, wow, something just really opened up with that. And oh, did it feel good.
Excellent.
Did it feel good.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Awesome. Congrats. And I love to see your husband taking it more too with you. That's great. Yeah.
He does.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. And thank you again to all the teachers. So grateful.
Well, let's go to another teacher. How about Yi Ting? Yi Ting, did you do the challenge? No.
No. I didn't do the challenge, but
you're here to say hi to everybody and listen.
And I'm doing it in summer because I want the t-shirt. So.
It's always the t-shirts and the stars that inspire us, right? Too. Yeah. I know. Michael did an amazing job on doing the tracking sheet. How many of you use the tracking sheet? Yes. I mean, that was so inspiring to me too, is to have that tracking sheet on my refrigerator. So thank you, Michael, for that. All right, Yi Ting, we look forward to having you in the summer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks. Okay. Congratulations.
Let's go to Aisha. Aisha, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm happy that I did it. I started it and then stopped for for a week and did a couple more, and kind of was seeing everybody was very motivating me. Everybody was, I got into Zoom late. I kind of hesitated, but then I realized if I'm getting a change in my postures and doing outdoor classes, then I can do Zoom class. I don't need the heat because I don't have any heat at all. So it would be hard to heat up the living room or my whole house for the class. So and then I started the Zoom and I got all the corrections and it seemed like a one-on-one, there's no distractions, and I fell in love with it. So I decided to do 18 doubles.
Whoa.
Yeah. To catch up. And so it felt great. I started to see improvement in my postures. Even though I'm not very flexible at all, and the heat usually, that's why I fell in love with Bikram, is because of the heat. It helped my flexibility. It helped, the pain. I used to run, I ran a lot. I did a lot of marathons and half marathons.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
That's what got me into falling in love with Bikram, because it really was my healing place after running. So then I wasn't running with COVID, no running, no yoga. So everything kind of was starting all over again. I lost all of the flexibility that I had gained, but it was great. I was really happy and appreciative, and like everyone said, it's a different experience. I actually feel more in love. I think I was in love with the heat and the humidity, and I kind of fell in love with the yoga, and I started understanding it better and hearing more understanding, like, watching my foot when I'm doing head to knee and seeing that my foot is going to the left and to the right is not stable. And so it's kind of more understanding the whole process of what I need to do and where my weaknesses and where the muscles are weak and where you need to build them. So it was not more just about flexibility, it was more about strength as well, gaining a lot of strength. So it was at the end of the 60-day challenge, I was a little bit sore, I have to admit, got a little bit, not my flexibility again, but, having the hot classes and all of that, I'm looking forward. And I would like to have both, actually.
Okay.
To Zoom, because I feel like I get more understanding of the posture, more correction, more focus on no distractions for me. I'm just looking at myself and listening to the teacher.
Yeah.
So I like that, and I would like to continue with a combination of the two.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those are great words, Aisha, right? I mean, there is such different dynamics between, the room and then on Zoom. But I love what you said. I think for all of us, right? I mean, we talked about this at staff meetings too. I mean, so much of Bikram yoga is glued to the heat and the humidity. It's like you think Bikram yoga, you think heat and humidity. I mean, and that's just, that's part of its identity. And then here that was stripped away, right? And we're doing it with a home practice without the heat and the humidity. And all of a sudden it's like there's sort of a different focus, right? You don't have the heat and the humidity. And maybe, I'm not saying that it was a distraction, but it's not even a component anymore. And you find that you have interest in the posture itself, right? Maybe just a little bit more than you would have had you just stayed in the room having the heat, where you're knowing that Bikram yoga is with the heat. Does that make sense? It's like it's something was pulled away, stripped away for you to kind of see and get more interested in the act of the yoga itself. It's kind of fascinating, right? Too. So
the heat or the breathing in the class. So it was more okay. And it also, which I should have been doing all along, but also lets me know that I can practice at home. I don't have to have a class. I can practice some of the postures at home. That's the only way to get better. I was mostly just practicing at the studio and that's it. I did not do any practice when I'm home on the postures or anything. And I found, wow, you could do better. You could, stretch. You could just pick a posture and work on, 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, me included too, Aisha. It's one of the things in my challenge that I realized too is my judgment about the practice itself, that if it didn't have the heat, then it wasn't Bikram yoga. And I one of the great things that I feel like I overcame, and I think what all of us have with our yogi minds, is those thoughts that I have, I didn't allow myself to buy into them. That's what's so beautiful about our yoga, is that you can look at your thoughts, but not have to have them be controlled by them, right? I mean, I had opinions but because of that, I didn't let that deter me from trying, right? And what came as a result is a huge gift. I'm like you, Aisha. I enjoy picking apart the posture a little bit more than I normally would in the room. For whatever reason. I'm not sure what that reason is. All I know is it's true, right? Like I pick apart the posture a little bit more. And part of me was judgmental too. I'm like, oh man, there's no way I'm going to be bored to death. I don't want to do it in my house. There's no way I want to do yoga in my house. All these things, right? And I didn't let that, I didn't put my hands on my hips and just make that where that was going to be the conclusion. That's what I mean about doing our yoga practices, is I think those thoughts, they soften and you realize that there's no merit to them other than just your own silly way of thinking, right? And to take advantage of an opportunity that's before you. I think for me, and maybe like many of you, when I started to realize that we were going to be in this for the long haul, it wasn't going to be a 3-week shelter in place that I was hoping for, why not entertain the idea of something different? And I'm grateful for that. In fact, it's probably one of the biggest lessons, because and anything else that comes along, you got to look at it as an opportunity too. Like, what is there here for me to learn? What can what can I?
I was kind of mad for not joining Zoom much sooner than I did, because I was like, oh wow, I could have been much, more and better, but I'm glad I did.
And look at you. Yeah, but I love your Aisha, this is it's one of your strengths in your personality. I mean, you did 18 doubles. I mean, that's pretty amazing, right? You're just once you turn the volume a little bit, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. So, and you did it, and I hope you're wearing your shirt there. You got your shirt on? Yes, good for you. It's awesome.
And the shirt was a bonus too. That got me more motivated to finish those 18. So I'm like, oh, I gotta have that shirt.
Yeah, it is an inspiring t-shirt for sure.
I'm grateful to all the teachers and all the corrections, and to all of you and all the yogis. When I hear their voice, I'm like, oh, Lori's in the class with me. Oh, Joanne is in, Sundar is in class with me. So it was kind of even though you couldn't really see or talk to each other or something, it was more community again, practicing together again, just hearing the familiar names.
Yeah. It's a familiarity. Yeah. Thanks, Aisha. It's great stuff. Great stuff. Marshita, how about you? Let's go over to teacher. Marshita, congrats. Marshita.
Thank you. See better now. I'm sitting by the window. It's a nice sunset I get to see.
Gorgeous.
So that's why I'm very close to it's one of the meditation moment I take every sunset, try to be. So anyhow, I did my 60-day challenge, and it's after my teacher training. This is the first time I did it, and in between I haven't done it.
So it took a pandemic for you to do 60.
I know, and I have a lot of excuses sometimes, right? So I'm very loyal to Bikram Yoga, and I'm not just loyal to any person or anything in my life, only if I really like it. So you cannot really sell me any product unless I really like it. So I liked it. I mean, I really loved it. So I did it, many yogas, like, different kind of styles of yoga. This is only one which spoke to me. So 60-day challenge, every time happened to the studio, I thought, I should do it, but I didn't do it. But this time I have done it. And it's a very, very different experience. I shared with Sarah a little bit about this. So first 2 weeks was a little hard, like, some back pain is appearing and stuff like that, everyday practice. Wow. But after every practice going forward, it sparks a joy in your heart, in my heart. It felt like a nice flower. It felt like a nice sunshine. And that feeling actually did happen during those 60-day challenge. It's very peaceful, surrealistic feeling. And even a very cloudy day, I get depressed sometimes if it's like overcasted, but that always brought me a sunshine. And it's amazing how the whole process works. So, I am very loyal, and I will be loyal to Bikram Yoga all my whole life, really. And each and every one of you are here for a reason, and you get connected to this yoga also for a reason. Yeah. And every practice I have done, every day is a challenge. It felt like, why it's never easy. It's never going to be easy. After the practice finishes and we feel so enlightened, so peaceful, so energetic in many different ways, every single day. And it's like a journey of life. That's how I see it. So journey of life is more like you walking to the road, it's nice and shiny, then there is a bump. What do? You overcome it.
Yes.
So every day the yoga teaches us, never give up, just go. And always be prepared for the bump. It's always there. If it's not there, there was no good time either. Everything is flat, there is no happiness. Everything is happy. If everything is happy, what is sadness? If there is no sadness, there is no happiness. So it taught me a lot. And without practicing in the home, without the heat, thus I tried. It's a very different journey for me overall. I have overcome with a lot of things that I could not think I would, but I did. I'm so grateful for that. And postures, I actually have paid more attention to the posture during the Zoom classes. And thankful to all the teachers. To me, it's a wonderful gift. Always your inspiration, your smile, your correction, everything. And all the students who ever took my classes, thank you. Always you bring joy to me. I improved a lot during this posture, what I do in the studio. Sometimes I don't focus. That Michelle told, right? That, yeah, you just go in there and practice, and the home, it's a different experience. You look at your posture differently. It's a different experience. But the COVID gave us a gift, actually. Now, more than ever, I want to do yoga.
Yeah.
And have the option to practice at home too.
Yeah. 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 You're such a bundle of joy, Murshida. Thank you for being you and for teaching at BYSJ to all the students and teaching outside to, you know, like you did. And all the teachers. I mean, it's amazing how much passion and belief you have in this and how much, you know, you want to improve, you know, on it also. What a great analogy, Murshida. I know exactly what you mean. I see everybody kind of nodding their head too when you were saying like sparkles in your heart and like just, you know, feeling so blissful and different after a 90-minute practice, you know, what this does, you know, just by doing the stretching in the sequence, the way it's delivered. It's awesome.
I want to acknowledge you, Michelle, for being that rock for us, you know, and you have created such a wonderful team. These teachers, Matt, Sarah, Jessica, Yitang, and Claire. And if I am not saying the name Tony, forgive me, don't hate me, please. And Charlie, everyone, you know, it's a solid team, you know. And that's amazing.
Yes, you're 100% right. And our team is fantastic. Our teaching staff, our Karma Yogi staff, and our community. And, you know, 18 years of consistency, and we've grown and we've had our, you know, our bumps, and you're 100% right. I mean, those bumps make us better, you know, so you guys, isn't it so cute? Look at Lenora is sleeping. Bless her heart. It's probably midnight her time. It's all good. Bless. I just wanted to hug you and put a blanket over you, right? Sorry, I can't do that. You know, we and our as staff, we've talked about this too, but you know, this studio, bless your heart, Lenora, please close your eyes and listen to, but we've been through adversity, right? I mean, you know, we lost Chris, you know, there was a time when financially we were just drowning. I mean, we've gone through a lot together. We've gone through a lot. And I didn't feel like there was any reason, and I know staff included, there was any reason why we weren't going to get over this either. And not just that, I don't really like to use those terms where you get through something. No, we thrive from it. You know, there's something that we take from it that empowers us even more. You know, we're better as a result, you know, so, but thank you, Murshida. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you and your commitment to your practice. Congratulations on doing your first challenge. Now keep doing challenges. We don't want another pandemic for you to do a challenge.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Michelle,
Yeah.
I wanted to say something about Murshida's class.
Yeah.
I know one thing that she made a difference was, you know, when we are at home, you think that everybody would lie down in Shavasana a lot more because you're already home, but that's not what actually happened to me. When I was in the studio, I would actually wait for 10 minutes and take a long Shavasana before heading out to the car. But because the shower is only 10 steps away, you just, as soon as the class is over and the Zoom gets cut, you just rush to the next thing, right? Or your family thinks like, okay, there is no noise coming from the room anymore. So he's no longer off limits to us, and they basically pull you in, right? So taking that Shavasana has not been as easy at home as it has been when you're at the studio, because for whatever reason, right? Murshida always basically forced us to take the Shavasana because she listed out every body part that's supposed to relax from head to toe and back. And that was always a difference in those classes. And I actually felt the value of the 90 minutes a lot more when she would do that in the class, because she's still talking when we are in Shavasana, which is good because one, we are relaxing, and two, the outside world knows that, you know, they can't just barge into the room anymore. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that, Sundar. And that's a good tip, Murshida. Did you listen to that, Zoom teachers? That's what we need to be doing. And Claire does that too. Awesome, Claire. Yeah.
Thank you.
I just learned something. Thank you very much. I get it. Maybe it will tell the dogs and cats to get out too until we're done with our Savasana. Oh, that's great. Carrie, let's go to you.
I just want to say it's been so much fun teaching via Zoom. I didn't think it would be, but it's a whole different type of teaching. Just you guys have been amazing, letting us in as teachers into your houses.
Yeah.
And we feel so much, I know I feel so much closer to so many of you, to Linda. I see there. Oh, you have two kids. Okay. I only ever saw one. All right. You have two. All right. And the pets that would come in and change the tone of a class in like on a, turn on a dime. I mean, it would be just, you think this would be going along, and then all of a sudden, we're on the floor series and we've got a dog just like, boo, paw is on the back, and just the specialness. So it's been a joy, and I really thank you all so much for letting us come in and share your homes, and that brings us in closer, and that's a level of trust and a level of openness that I'm not sure that, had we never gone through this pandemic, if we would have ever gotten to that point between all of us. So, I mean, you all seen the inside of, my little teaching room here, and me and yours. So I just want to say thank you very much to all of you students for coming in and participating, and whether or not you did the challenge. I mean, you come in and you show up, and you show up on your mat when you can get to your mat, and that's the plus. That's the gift that you give to yourself every time that you can.
Yeah.
And that beautiful stuffed animal that looks really adorable, Linda. So I just think it's a thank you from me, certainly as a teacher, to you all as students, to have come in, to shared, and to allow me to share the practice with you. So congratulations to those of you who did the challenge, and to those of you who tried to do the challenge, and to those of you who show up on your mat every time you can. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie, for all you give. Thank you so much. Thank you. And let's go right to Linda, because she's got an audience there. Congratulations, Linda. Got your two cuties there that are getting so big now. There we go.
Yeah.
Congrats on your challenge, Linda.
Hi, good evening.
You're the 5:30,
everyone.
6 a.m. girl. Yep.
Woohoo! Yes. Thank you. The 5:30 a.m. classes and the 6 a.m. made it possible for me to complete the 60-day challenge. I actually did 64 days, so I'm very proud of that. It was my 4th challenge, and I know you probably will ask me, Michelle, when did I start Bikram yoga? I started in October 2005.
Wow.
It has helped me throughout many stages of my life, and I knew it will definitely help me during COVID time, and I wanted to take upon the challenge. First of all, I want to say thank you to all the teachers. You are so giving. You're so giving to us, the students, to each other, and to the community. I can feel it when you teach, and my work also makes me. I also have to give too. I work in the medical community. I work at a hospital.
Yeah.
And I like the balance of team yoga, team medical community, and also, as you can tell, team mom and family. So thank you so much for adding that balance.
Linda, you're kind of cutting in and out. Can you hear me?
Especially, I was one of the first to receive the COVID vaccine, so being a frontline worker. And the side effects was terrible. I was pretty much, I'm not trying to disappoint you, but encourage you. But with the vaccine, it definitely feels like a punch in the arm. And I was immobile, and I had to take, 2 vaccines. I had them Moderna. I had about a month apart. Oh, sorry. So yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're just cutting
rocking
in and out a little bit. Yeah.
And the kids are here. So, but yes, and they're very lovable. Yeah, it was the 60-day challenge really helped me get through. Can you still hear me or no?
Yeah.
I'll make it quick then. So it really helped me during that period of the vaccine and also breathing. So thank you so much. And also, can you hear me? The last thing I want to say is it's really a yoga school. Bikram Yoga is really a school. It's not just a studio. So it's a school online and school at the studio too. So thank you so much.
Hey, I just want to jump in here.
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
I just want to jump in and say, Marshita helped me out in one of my classes where my audio was cutting out, or I never lost connection, but it was bad connection. And Marshita said, turn off your video. We don't need to see you. And then we can hear you better. And so anyway, it's a little late for Linda to do that now, but I learned that lesson. So thank you, Marshita.
Thanks, Claire. Thank you, Linda. I think what we're hearing too is that this helped you. First of all, thanks for being a first responder and doing what you do. And, you know, you're a mom as well. And you've been doing this yoga for a long time, and you were, you know, a karma yogi too with us, which I'm so appreciative to. But I'm glad that I'm hopeful that the yoga then helped you during probably a really intense time. So, yeah. Linda, you and your daughter look like sisters. You just so cute. You're so youthful looking. And she's beautiful, as you are. Congratulations, Linda. I know we'll keep seeing you early in the morning because I know you're a very dedicated practitioner, which is great. I'm so glad it helps you in your field, in your life. Let's take it over to Matt and Sarah because they both did the challenge too. Woo, 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 as their t-shirts show.
No, this is the first 60-day challenge I've done for a few years. I used to do them all the time. And then there was like a 3-year period or 2.5-year period where I had not done a 60-day challenge. I found that I was teaching like 10 to 12 times a week, and then trying to go in the hot room 7 extra times a week. So I was in the hot room for like 21 times a week, and I got out of balance, and so for a little while I was kind of like, I don't know, I really want to do that. And this time around I was like, well, I have absolutely no excuse whatsoever. I've got plenty of time, and you know, there's little heat, and so I had a mission. Aside from doing the 60 days, I had 2 missions. One mission was to do it every single day without exception, so I didn't have to catch up. But also, Diane Duchamp has a wonderful saying etched on her wall in her studio on the East Coast. Grace and ease, and you know, it's something we talk about sometimes with the yoga, finding when you're in the posture, the grace and ease within the posture. And so I was determined that this time I would just find the grace and ease. I would just do the challenge like I was brushing my teeth or having breakfast in the morning, and just not sweat it, not stress about it, not angst about it, not should do this or shouldn't do that, but just get on with it. And it was a breeze. It was a real breeze, and a bunch of days I did doubles just because I felt like it, you know, and it was wonderful. And the tracking board that Michael came up with was just, it was so much fun. Yes. We had them on side by side on the fridge. Yes. So that was just awesome. Yeah. And, so I just loved the whole thing about it. And it became 60 days of study. You know, I was studying where my foot was. I was studying where my ankle was. I was studying about whether I was using my inner thigh or not. I was studying about whether I was pulling my thigh back as I was pushing my hip muscles forward. So the whole thing just became grace and ease. And
what a friendly way to approach it, Matt. Right? It seems so friendly. Right, like your 60-day challenge was sort of something you buddied up with, right? And just
and it kind of mirrors a learning. I mean, like, you know, a learning for us as individuals, but also in the yoga tradition that, you know, when I was younger, I was at times very, very successful, but at extreme effort. Like intense, you know, and I would achieve certain degrees of success, but at the cost of exhaustion and frustration, and tension, and so it wasn't necessarily rewarding to achieve the very thing I set out to achieve, because by the end of it, I was exhausted.
Beat up,
You know, but on the other hand, you know, it's like the idea of, you know, that you need to have a rajasic practice when you're beginning. You need to have this like kind of slightly over the top practice to begin with, because you've got to bust everything apart. You've got to kind of break everything, and then you've got to put it back together again. But at some point, you've got to start to find the grace and the ease.
And
so I'm just delighted that this whole COVID thing has allowed me to transition more into that phase of my learning and growing, and it applies to, you know, every facet of my life. So it's cool.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big, mile marker then, because that's a different way to approach everything, right? It's great. That's awesome.
And it's also, I mean, 60 days is a reprogramming habit. So, of course, given drop of a coin, I'll be right back to, so that's my habit. That's my go-to place. You give me a project and it's late or an emergency and, but so practicing not being like that helps me be not like that, to be calmer, more relaxed when stuff is busy.
Right. I think I was sort of chiming with that too. And Mershida was saying that is just, those thoughts don't become so attached to you, right? You're just, there's a buffer now between that action and what, that grace and ease is really now the filter, right? Even though there's moments where you get intense, they have a little bit more breathing space in them, and you're not so, because that's what it does. It starts to consume your energy and you wind up being beat up at the end of it. Right. So, and that's not the way to be either. Yeah. That's why, Bikram talks about, right, is, how do we stay, deliberate, decisive, clear, and active with this sense of calmness in us all the time. Yes. I used to think that is not possible. I used to think that. Right?
We saw a wonderful living example of this. It wasn't a yoga example, but Horse of the Year show in London. 2 world-class horse riders jumping these massive, massive, massive jumps. One of them was from Argentina, and he was young, fit, and aggressive, and very good. But you could see the tension. You could feel the tension from 600 yards. It was like, and then John Whitaker, who was sort of a seasoned veteran, comes on. He was on earlier on some high-end horse, and he did fabulously well and came first or second. This time he came on a young horse. He's just calmly riding the horse very sedately. It just crashes into the wall and knocks the wall over. And he just sort of turns and looks at the audience and kind of shrugs and just carries on riding. He's like, man, whatever. That's whatever happened on any particular day is what happens. He won on the other horse. So he embodied that, it's just, it is what's happening. And today he crashed into a fence and just demolished it. But he was calm. He was happy. You could tell he was relaxed, and you could tell the horse was relaxed. Whereas the other guy was just tension.
His mouth open,
That's hilarious.
That's my journey, is to be more grace and ease.
Yeah, and staff, when we read the Tao on this, but even, Bikram talks about how this is nature. I mean, what we're doing is nature and creating that sense of balance. And when we're in that sense of balance, right, that's, when life starts to chase us, right? Yeah. We become the magnetic force, and we're not fighting up against it. And we're part of, something that is, infinite and one with we work with the universe, with the energy, and not, so things come at a greater ease. I think we can all feel that after a good class, that life is striding with us now, right? A little bit more so. But yeah, it takes practice. I mean, I think it's the repetition, right, Matt? All of us, over and over again. That's what Bikram says too. It's just the more you do it, the more muscle memory, the more mental memory, you start to have too. So awesome, Matt. Sarah.
Yeah, so
congrats, girl. Woohoo!
Thank you. The first 2 weeks we were doing back bending challenge. That's all I was doing, then going out walking, and we were doing back bending every day and then going out walking.
Right.
Then I started to think, well, I miss it. But so we made the place really, really, really hot, as hot as possible. Like every possible heating thing was on, plus what we put. That was the only way we could do it. And then after that, it just sort of got less hot and less hot, and we were still doing it. So I wanted to echo what Lenora said, because honestly, now a bit compared with when we started this, I don't know what the hell I was doing before. I really don't. It's like, I don't know what the hell I was doing. I thought I knew things. I didn't know anything. It was extraordinary. So what was the big thing for me before the 60-day challenge was I'm practicing one day and I'm like, nobody's looking at me. I could screw this up. I know I can just do this. So I started looking at it because I couldn't do, and I'm like, well, there has to be some reason I can't do this. It's not just random. So So I would work it out and then it wouldn't work. And then I'd work something else out and it wouldn't work. And so I'd take classes and get some ideas about it and have him look at me. And then by getting things wrong, I started to understand how they work. So this is where I started talking about, thinking in my own mind about, it's all for me anyway, it's all the technique. It's the technique that's going to set you free. And this is what happened to me. So, and like Aisha and Kerry alluded to, not having the heat as well for a while really put me in that place when I could look at every little thing that I was doing. And then I started to understand, well, that's already in the dialogue. I was saying the dialogue anyway, but it's already in there. And now I get exactly how the mechanics. So I don't know what the hell I was doing, and now I'm just starting to. That's
yeah. You know, and I know we've talked about this, Sarah, too, and you guys, right? I think in the beginning of anything, right, you get so excited and hungry and you hear it on a surface level. And I think you have to go through that phase first, right? And then, you know, that's why, you know, Bikram will say, you know, it's not so wise to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. It's like, whatever it is that you do, really just dig into that one thing and know that through that journey, right, you're going to evolve in wisdom because you're digging in at a deeper level, right? Too. It's actually
the other thing that I would echo, Kerry, is that what I learned without the heat, I just can now do with the heat. So it's very nice. And I like many others, like the combination. I like practicing without, and I like practicing with. It's given me a lot of flexibility in terms of, you know, if it's not possible to fit it in for some reason, I can do it at home.
Yeah.
I would never have. I did bending and stuff before, but I would never have done a full practice. And now it's just normality.
Me too. I agree with you 100% on that, Sarah. There's no way in all my years, I would have never, I just would have not done yoga that day or whatever. And now it's like, no, I can do it at home and excited about doing it at home, right? Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing I loved teaching everybody. I loved all the cats and dogs. It was like, I just love seeing them on there and the things they do. And is Laurie still there? I can't see properly. No, she's not.
I think she's gone. Yeah, I don't see her.
Okay, so lots of you there. But there was one day the other day when we were doing Savasana, and I was just saying, I was talking and I said something about, you know, just let the body work itself out, just be still, something like that. And the dog had come in. And Laurie and her husband were practicing. The dog had come in. We all met him to walks, and they were doing this. So he got up on the couch and he did it as well. And the energy was just like suffusing into the dog. You know, it was really cool. But I've loved seeing all the dogs and cats. I love them.
I have to say, I mean, I've loved teaching on the Zoom as well because. I mean, like Lenora, I would never have got the chance to meet Lenora. And Neil obviously comes and visits our studio from time to time, but to get to see you all in the home, and to really see you clearly, because you know when you teach on the podium, you know the angle of view of, you know, if there's somebody practicing right in front of the podium, obviously you see them right up and close. But you know, for most of the time, you're seeing people at various different angles scattered across the room. And so, you know, to get to really see people clearly through Zoom is really cool. And also, you know, we get to chat before or after the class, which is also kind of cool as well. So I have to say I've really enjoying that whole dimension to this. And it kind of, it just reminds me, I think, that you know, really what, in a way, this yoga is about is a recognition that there is a human condition. And that human condition is universal, and the challenges are universal, even though they might show up personally for us each in a particular kind of way. And yoga is this universal technology that allows us to navigate being human. I think that's just so cool that we get to share that journey together.
I know, we don't let anything stop us, you guys, right? Even just doesn't matter to be in a building or not, right? Where that theme, Matt, is the dominant theme. You know, how we do it doesn't matter.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's opened up lots of opportunities as well.
Yeah, it has.
Wonderful people. And to maybe do things one wouldn't have done before. That I've taken 1 or 2 courses which wouldn't be possible if this, and you know,
I have to say,
classes, so.
it's also allowed me to see some truly impressive yoga postures. So, for instance, May did a second part awkward, where she came right up on the very top of her toes, and she held it for about 2.5 minutes until I realized that the camera had frozen. But it was like I almost was tripping over myself as I was teaching the rest of the posture. I'm like, oh my God, is he ever going to come out of this posture? It's incredible. You know?
That happens with Vivienne as well. You have a very nice balance statistic anyway, but more than once. It's
Yeah, I know it is a little freaky when everybody freezes and their postures they're holding forever. Yeah.
Oh, and one I gave some correction, and you did it, and then you went in Savasana, and I think it was bow pose. We would fixed firm, and you were smiling, and you're still lying on your mat smiling, and they're doing fixed firm. You're still lying on your mat smiling, and I thought, oh my God, I killed him. At least he looks happy. It's like, and then it was just you were frozen. It's like
I know the funny things on Zoom, right? The blooper show that we could have, right? With a blooper reel. I was looking for Shirley. Is Shirley back on? I saw her come on and go off. Shirley, are you there?
Shirley's on, but the camera's off and she's muted.
Yes, I'm here.
Shirley, there you are. Congratulations, Shirley.
Thank you.
Nice job. I know you're wearing your shirt proudly. I can't see everybody's shirt really well except for the cat's feet, like on some of you guys.
Hi.
Yeah. Tell us about, yes, go ahead. Tell us about the challenge for you.
It's my 4th time, I think, for doing the challenge. And this time is really special that we don't have a hot room to go. But we have Zoom and audio, and I think that there is no excuse I will miss that because I can do it anywhere, anytime. And even when I go somewhere else, I can still do it, like during the midnight until the next day. Sometimes I do it. So why I do yoga is because you just follow your body. Because I have back pain, and every time after yoga, my back feels so good. So what I can say is just follow your body, and this is the energy that gives me so much energy to keep going on.
Yeah.
And but other than the back pain issues, I also find that after practicing, my muscle gets tighter and tighter. And then one day I find out that I need to buy a smaller size of my pants because it's all loosened, which is good news for me. No? And also after doing yoga, especially in the hot room after the crazy sweating, I feel that my skin gets better.
Yeah.
I feel so good. And so yoga is something like a life journey for me. It's not a 60-day only challenge.
Yeah.
It would carry on forever for me.
Yeah. Aw. Sweet words, Shirley. Shirley, what year did you start?
Really, when I started is like, I think I can't remember the exact year that I first started because when I first start is like on and off. It's not really committed until 2015.
I see.
I became the Karma Yogi, so I forced myself to do it 3 times a week at least. And that's the purpose of doing the Karma Yogi, because I want to force myself to keep a schedule for me. And from that on, then I become like almost every day.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you don't have back pain anymore. And I know what you mean about the skin. I feel that same way with the heat.
Yeah,
right?
That's the first time when I saw my friend. Every time when she come up to have coffee with me, she did it after yoga. And her skin feels so fresh. That's why I start.
Okay. That was your reason for getting into the yoga room initially. It's great. Wow. Well, thank you, Shirley, for everything that you do for us too at the studio. And congratulations on your fourth challenge. Woohoo! And are you
a trophy?
Did you get a trophy on the first one?
Yeah, I think it's the last round of the trophy.
Oh, you got lucky.
We got t-shirt.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I think I have one trophy left. We don't have those trophies anymore. In fact, the place that I got them from isn't in business anymore in Palo Alto. I think we kept them in business. Congrats, Shirley. Great job. Woo-hoo. May, would you like to say, did you do the challenge, May?
I did.
Yes.
This was my very first challenge. And I was kind of nervous to make the commitment because I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this 60 days in a row. I figured out I could do it at 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. I have a 10-year-old at home with me, Zooming, and like, she would like, I figured if I did it at 5:30, I could finish before she wakes up, and I have a dog. And I figured it out, and it was amazing because I was really nervous. I just finished teacher training December of 2019. And I was like, I think this is going to be harder. And it was, because I mean, this was much harder than teacher training because I'm in the real world. There's a pandemic. I'm not in my little yoga teacher training bubble.
Sure.
And, like, I have all my other personal things that are going on. And it's just kind of like, I'm so grateful for you, Michelle, and the teachers. I would pop I live in Carmel, which is 90 minutes away from San Jose. So when I would pop in to see my dad, I would, look like, okay, there's an outdoor yoga class. And so I was so grateful when I landed at your studio, and Michelle's like, why don't you lead the pranayama? I was like, how do I do that? I'm a technophobe, but I figured out Bikram yoga has taught me to like self-realization, and I figured out how to do it on Facebook with that little live button. And then Michelle's like, maybe you could teach on Zoom. And I was like, how am I going to do that? I don't even I don't know how to do that. But then when I saw one of the fourth graders in my daughter's class, like, they're on Zoom all the time, and they're like putting people in breakout rooms and muting people and doing that. And I'm like, she was totally causing us trouble. I'm like, if she could do that, I could do that. And so I decided I'm going to try it. And I'm like, this is weird. I'm sitting down on the floor and teaching, and just like not like on a podium. But it was just, I don't know, like I had to, as a lot of people said, I had to make a shift in my mindset. Being a student in my bathroom, taking class by myself, like, without the heat and humidity, I would try to get a little bit hot, or even teaching, not on a platform, not in the yoga room, but just making like a little corrections on the screen. And I remember in one class, I'm like, oh my gosh, my second row is doing really well. And just like seeing everybody like a box of chocolates, it's just like, I don't know, like it just kind of like made this whole experience.
Chocolates.
Yeah, like so much like more special. And I remember in teacher training, they said there are going to be a lot of distractions. But I remember Carrie said at one time, like, if something would like throw me off, like people like walking around in the background. And so one of the tips was like, just look up in the air and just say the dialogue. And so I've had to do that a couple of times. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a dog jumping up and down. I need to look at the air and like teach the dialogue. And they also say that new teachers don't see and new students don't hear. And so, but then I was really impressed that I was able to actually like look at Lenore. I'm like, oh yeah, her fingers are like, I'm like, put them together more. And so it's just like, I don't know, it was just a really fun experience. And I'm so grateful for all the early morning risers. And you guys have kind of like got me through this tricky time during the pandemic. And I feel like I'm so excited for what's going to happen. Even like Linda, after getting her Moderna shot, I remember she couldn't like lift up her arm. And I was like, do I want to get vaccinated? I mean, it's just like kind of helped me with current events. And I mean, I will get vaccinated. And I think I want to get the double shot too, but it's just like so cool to be with everybody and to have the connection. And so thank you, everybody.
What a beautiful addition to the family, May. Thank you for approaching us and being so earnest and you know, just practicing and just being willing to do the pranayama breathing and then opening up and figuring out and taking the challenge on doing it on Zoom. I mean, you're such a gift to have as a practitioner and a teacher. So yes. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're so right on. I've never heard anybody say that the screen looks like a box of chocolates.
It does.
That's a new one on me. It does. It does. I know what you mean. So, yeah, you know, you're right. There's a lot of distractions. You know, it just goes right back to, you know, the comment that I think Matt and Sarah were saying is that it, you know, it doesn't matter. If anything, you guys, we are totally bonded now for the rest of our lives because we've experienced this together, right? It is kind of amazing, right? You're forever my family anyway. And I think all of us during this time are even, you know, more bonded. And also too, I mean, just the fact that we're here tonight, you know, and doing a 60-day challenge at home sort of says that this is a dominant aspect of who we are, this yoga practice, right? So, you know, we're going to figure out a way to make it work, taking and teaching. So thanks, May. Congratulations. And you probably have all the confidence in the world now to get up on the podium. You weathered all this stuff, right?
Oh, I can't wait to get back into the hot room on the podium again, and just to get into the hot room as a student, because I prefer the hot room. I love that.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I think we all do in a sense, right, too. Yeah. Heat is a big component of it, but it's not the component of it. So, you know, we have to stretch. Exercise is stretching, as Bikram would say. You have to stretch. Awesome.
Thank you.
Neil, how about you?
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for letting me go at the end. So I didn't actually do technically the 60-day challenge in the interest of full disclosure, but I did kind of meet a personal goal, which was to do yoga 1,000 days in a row, and I met that on March 30th, because I do at least in the last few months I've been doing Bikram 4 days a week, and I do Vinyasa 3 days a week, and I've been and I kind of upped the Bikram in the last few months. And then before that, I was doing Bikram 3 days a week and Vinyasa 4 days a week. But I've been doing that for years and years. I've started about 9 years ago. I started doing Vinyasa. There's a studio about a minute from my house. And I was in Beijing on a business trip, and I was looking for a yoga studio, and I did got on the internet and searched around. I found one about 2 blocks from my hotel, and I went in and they said, you know, this is high temperature yoga, you know, are you okay? And I'm like, whatever. And it turned out that was Bikram. I'd never done Bikram before. So I actually discovered Bikram in Beijing on a business trip. And the first time I did it, I thought, I'm either going to survive or this is going to be the dumbest thing that I ever did. and I actually survived. I actually did all the postures the first time. I didn't have to leave the room. And then after that, I'd only do it when I went to China. And then for some reason, I had this idea in my mind. And then eventually I started doing it here in San Diego, where I live as well. So when the pandemic hit, so I had already, been doing yoga basically every day for the last few years. And then when the pandemic hit, there's the studio that I was going to here, they kind of shifted to a schedule that didn't really work for me, because I have to get all my yoga done by 8 in the morning, or actually earlier than that, like by 7 in the morning or so, because I just have other things I have to do each day for my job. So it's like, whatever I do, it's, 5:30 in the morning if it's Bikram, or 6 in the morning if it's Vinyasa. I'm done by 7, and that's it. So my studio, the schedule wasn't convenient. And then when I went to the Bay Area, Michelle, I would practice at your studio. So I found the tapes And I'm like, okay, today I'm going to do Matt, and tomorrow I'm going to do Sarah, and then I'm going to do Michelle. And I would just kind of like cycle around so it wouldn't be like the same instructor, you know, each time. And I did that for, you know, for a few months, and it worked well, but I kind of missed the human interaction because I continue to do the vinyasa on Zoom. So I knew that, you know, like the Zoom, like it actually worked. And I was thinking the really like the holy grail here would be if BYSJ went on Zoom and I could do like a 5:30 class several days a week, and I could do 6 a.m. on the weekends. That would just be like so perfect. And then the teachers, you know, that I'm used to when I'm up in the Bay Area, Matt and Sarah and Michelle and Eating, who I think of every time I do camel. I think of Eating. It's the world's longest camel. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records.
She has a clock too. She has a clock that day. DC.
But every time I do camel, I think of Eating. So I was thinking that would be perfect. And then one day it actually showed up, and you actually put the classes on Zoom, and I'm like, it doesn't get any better than this. So, you know, then I started doing your classes, and for the 5:30 and 6, there are only 6 teachers that I've had. I'm sure every class has been one of those 6 instructors. So Matt, Sarah, Michelle, May, Rewa, and Carrie. Just those 6. And I realize Chris teaches on Fridays, but I haven't done Bikram on Friday yet. So just those 6, and every instructor absolutely great. I really appreciate it, and for me, as long as it's 70 degrees, I'm fine. So during the winter, I just set the thermostat to 72, and then in the last week, I haven't had to turn it on at all because it's 70 without the heat. But as long as it's 70, then I'm fine. And I found that at room temperatures, there's things that, first of all, I've gotten great corrections from everyone. And there's things that you focus on at room temperatures. So I remember, I think it was in January, I think Eating was saying that she really, when you get to the floor series and you've got the heat, sometimes you're a little bit tired just from, you know, everything you have to do in the standing series. But it's at 70 degrees, you have enough energy when you get to the floor series. So I really, really have to pay attention, much more attention than when I'm in the hot room. And I like the heat. I love the heat, in fact, but I find I just pay more attention in the floor series when I'm doing it at room temperature. So I think, you know, it's improved my technique a bit.
Sure.
I feel like it has a little bit, especially like spine twisting at the end. It just feels a lot better in like the last couple of months. So I really enjoyed it. So I'm very, very grateful. You know, especially with my studio in San Diego closed. Unfortunately, you know, they didn't. It was a small studio, very, very, very well run. But I think it just didn't work out for them.
Did they close during COVID? Was it a COVID?
Yeah. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
And it was a shame.
It is. Yeah.
So basically, we've got a great community. So the 5:30, 6 a.m. folks are now my yoga community. So you know, May and Lenora and Bridget, who's, I don't know if Bridget's on the line right now, but Bridget is very consistent. Jay,
Linda.
Yes, Linda, thank you. And Roger. and I know that I've left out a few folks. Carrie joins us when she's not teaching. So it's really a great community. We have like about 10 folks or so that show up very regularly, and it's just super pleasant to see the same faces each day. Yeah, but thank you very much, Michelle. This is really great. Thank you to you and to the other instructors. I just
Neil, ever
thoroughly
since I've
enjoy
known
it.
you, yeah, you have always been the most generous person. Ever since I've known you, you're always hello, goodbye, thank you. You're polite and manners. You've always been so appreciative from the day I met you. So I love that you are like the first one on at a 5:36 a.m. I can almost always visualize how you're going to look too when you turn your camera on, and always with a big smile on your face and ready to go. So, and what power you have, way to manifest that we started on Zoom. It was like perfect for you, right? Yeah. But
it's just worked out really, really well. I was really suspicious in the beginning. Yoga and Zoom, it just seemed kind of strange. The first few weeks of the pandemic, I was just, I had done vinyasa teacher training a few years ago. So the first few weeks of the pandemic, I was just doing my own kind of 1 hour routine that we kind of learned when I did the teacher training. But then it's actually, that routine is actually not so good to be doing every day, because there's the risk of some sort of, with the vinyasa routine, you want to kind of vary it a bit, because otherwise you might get like a repetitive stress injury. So it's actually not so good to do that. So then I, went to the tapes, and then I started doing some vinyasa classes on Zoom, and I found it really does work. I was surprised, but it does work.
I'm going to tell you guys something that sounds kind of morbid, but do you remember years and years ago in San Jose, there was these bodies that were obviously dead, but they were like taken apart so you could see the insides of them? Mayor nodding. What was the name of those, you guys? It was at the Tech Museum. Remember they had
wasn't it Body
World?
Body World.
Remember they had a gymnast, and he had the rings, and they had the slice of his arm, and you could see and it was fascinating. I went with Robin Duffy, and we went, as many people did, because it was something so crazy that some gentleman had come up with, that we could really see. One thing I enjoyed from it, which isn't the point, but there was this big collage of internal body parts, and they were hanging in a certain point that put together the whole person. So you could really see the size of a liver, or the size of a kidney, what it looked like, and how it laid in the human body. Anyway, I'm telling you this because I think it was in there maybe 2 hours or so. And for some reason, Robin and I just felt like we needed to leave. It started to get a little bit weird, like you just felt something cold about it. And I don't know why. There are times when I'm teaching, I'm sitting on the podium, and you're in, Savasana before we go to the floor series, and you're all completely quiet. Everybody is completely still. There is no fidgeting whatsoever. And it's almost like a surreal scene. And I compare it to when I was in that museum. And even though there are two places where there's absolute stillness, one has so much life. And I share that with you, Neil, because I too, like you with Zoom, I didn't think at all we could have a connection. But the truth is, you guys, is we have this spirit that comes through, and it doesn't matter if it's through a camera lens. So I was reminded of that again, Neil, when I started to teach on Zoom. I was amazed that I could still feel you all, which is exactly what you're saying when you want to take a class, Kelly, right? Maybe you don't see, but you're feeling there's a connection there. That's why this can work. And yes, there is something beautiful about Bikram yoga being dialogue driven, where the teacher doesn't do the postures. Like we're very conducive and set up to be able to teach through Zoom, which is a nice bonus too. But
Yeah.
there's something very powerful about the spirit, the human spirit. So thank you for sharing that, Neil. And you're a wonderful person and family member of this community. So congratulations on 1,003 days.
No, I just love doing it. I love doing it. And
we feel it. Yeah. And I'm sure your peers that take with you at 5:30, 6 a.m. feel it too.
Yeah.
Feel you.
We have a great crowd at 5:30 and 6.
I'm teaching the 6 a.m. Well, I'm teaching it. Yeah, I'm teaching it tomorrow, actually.
I'll be there.
All right. Woo! Jessica, would you like to say something? And Michael and Tony, before we sign off?
Congratulations, you guys.
Congratulations.
Nice
I
our
did a
traditions
30-day.
continue.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Michael.
Oh, I did a 30-day challenge. I tried to do 60, but I made it to 30.
Yay!
Like everyone, the experience was very surprising and special to do it on Zoom. So it was, I was very surprised. I get vaccinated next week, and I look forward to coming back soon.
No, we miss you. Michael's been in
I'm
Monterey.
down in Monterey, so yeah, I'm a little far away from my home studio, but looking forward to coming back eventually.
Well, we're warming up the seats for you, so yeah.
Michael, you
Yeah.
might get a half of the t-shirt.
Yeah, he gets the cropped version.
Right, I get a half, yeah. Well, I made it, so I'll just order one.
That's cheating. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can do. I almost survived. How's
I
that?
almost survived, yeah.
Or I survived 30.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. It'll be really nice to see you. How about you, Tony?
Yeah, Gracie and I want to say congratulations to everybody that did the 60-day challenge. I started and then picked up Gracie and realized really quickly a puppy takes all your time. So I will try. I'll try on the next one to do a 60 days.
You say that as Gracie's just sitting there munching away. Oh my God, like a little baby.
Constant.
That is so cute.
Yeah.
She is the cutest dog, you guys. Oh my gosh, right? What an addition to our family. Can't wait to have her around more too. So, well, yeah.
I want to say something about Tony. I want to say thank you, because every single time I send in an email to the studio, Tony always responds quickly, and it's very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vivian.
Thank you. Thank you, Vivian. Yes, let's give a round of applause to Tony. She does so much and always so promptly. Woo! So, do we want to take a picture, right? Or did someone take a screenshot? Did you get a few, Jessica? Somebody?
Yeah, we have it, Michelle.
Oh, we do. Okay. All right. All right, you guys, let me just look at the box of chocolates here. I'm never going to forget that now. And just sign off, and let's just keep our yoga going. I'm just so appreciative to all of you. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your stories. Congratulations again. Don't, take it for granted what you're doing. And I'll see you on Zoom. Right? You too, TC. I'll see you too. Bye. Good night, everyone.